Improve It, fam. Happy 2022. I know we're halfway through mid-Jan, when you're listening to this episode, but I'm so excited you're here. This is a fresh start. It's a way to start anew. And what I want to talk to you about today is something that I think is so important for leaders. I want to talk to you about vulnerability. Okay, let's get vulnerable. Let's get comfortable with the uncomfortable world of vulnerability. Vulnerability. Say that 5 times fast. Vulnerability. Anyway, where I'm going with this, Improve It fam, is today is a wonderful episode for you if you are a leader who wants to lead with empathy, who wants to show up and get to know what drives your team, what motivates them, and how you can help them get there using power skill training. Okay, you'll hear what that means in this episode, and improvisational comedy. I promise you these two things go hand in hand, so hear me out. So today's show is a bit different. I am not interviewing today's guest on the Improve It pod. I am actually being interviewed by my good friend Ed Molitor, and he is a fantastic person. We met back in 2018. He came to one of Improve It's public workshops in Chicago at the time, and it was actually his 48th birthday, the day of the workshop. And he said, what better way to spend my 40th birthday than with Improve It? He had done some research, found us online, and came to this workshop. So you're going to hear through his lens about his experience with our training process, how he realized improv is truth. You'll see what I mean. How he also realized that improv is all about listening, postponing judgment, and helping you be more present in the moment. So Ed is a fantastic human. He is the founder of the Molitor Group. And throughout his professional career, the words coaching and leadership have been synonymous with the positions he's held. His leadership skills, his traits, his behaviors are the reasons he has realized such great success as a college basketball coach, a Chicago mortgage broker, a motivational speaker. And in those motivational talks, he talks about the invaluable life lessons provided in competitive athletics as a VP of operations for a successful recruiting firm. Now, this interview that you're going to hear is actually me on his show. So I am using the audio from his show to give to you because the conversation was so impactful. His podcast is called The Athletics of Business, and he just embraces all of these things. This podcast is a direct result of both his experience as both an athlete and coach. And so he had me come on the show to talk about his experience in our improv workshop, but also what he realized about improv and how it can transform you as a leader. We talk about this notion of soft skills not being called soft skills anymore, but power skills. And you'll hear me talk about this in this episode. We talk about how improv can help you increase your vulnerability and your empathy as a leader, and it affects the way that you show up to your team. Now, we also get into the chicken hat, which if you're a fan of the show, you're probably wondering, why does Erin hold a chicken on the show graphic? And there's a very specific reason for that. So you'll hear that in today's show. I'm so excited for you. Before we get into it, I just want to give you a quick housekeeping reminder. Get your hybrid hype handout. If you haven't yet done that, go ahead, grab yours. It is a great resource. It's a free resource for you on leading your team and this hybrid work environment. I am so stoked for you to listen to today's show. And if you, like I said, are a leader who wants to be more vulnerable and less transactional in your approach to leading your team, stay tuned. Today's show is for you. Let's get to improving it with Ed Molitor. Are you a leader or change maker inside of your business, organization, or corporation? Are you looking for new, innovative ways to drive morale through the roof? Are you looking for fun and exciting icebreakers, team building exercises, and activities that will foster team growth, friendships, loyalty, and completely transform your organization from the inside out? Have you been searching for a fun and unique way to create change instead of the same old dry, boring leadership books and icebreakers that aren't actually working? Hi, I'm Erin Deal, business improv edutainer, fail fluencer, and professional Zombie who is ready to help you improve it. My mission in life is to help you develop teams and leaders through play, improv, and experiential learning. In this podcast, we will deep dive into professional development, team building, effective communication, networking, presentation skills, leadership training, how to think more quickly on your feet, and everything in between. We have helped everyone from Fortune 500 companies to small mom and pop shops transform their business, their leadership, and their people through play. So grab your chicken hat. We are about to have some fun. Welcome to Improve It, the podcast.
Erin, welcome and thank you for joining us today on the Athletics of Business podcast. It's so good to see you again. It's been a minute.
I know, Ed. I am so happy to see you. I mean, literally, we've been chatting before we hit record, and I feel like this was a nice catch up. It was a needed and necessary catch up.
Yeah, and I think we came to the conclusion that the last time we saw each other was February of 2018.
I know, which a lot has happened. A few things. I mean, no, actually, I've been bored. Just been sitting around twiddling my thumbs. Nothing needs to completely pivot or change in the world or my business.
I'm need fine. A curveball. It's all
fine.
Good.
I feel good.
We'll go down that road. Holy cow. I mean, so much has changed. But tell us, obviously I clued listeners in about, all the amazing work you've done and the journey that you're on. But I'd love to hear from you. Tell us, let's jump right into Improve It and where this vision came from and the people that you serve and the whole why behind it and everything.
Oh my gosh. How much time do we have? No, I will boil it down. So long story short, grew up performing, singing, acting, dancing, wanted to become Oprah Winfrey, moved to Chicago because that's where Oprah lives. This was early 2000s. How do we become Oprah? There was no roadmap. There were very little digital courses at this time. I mean, literally Facebook just came on the map. So I said, okay, I guess I need to start improv training because that just seems like the right thing to do. I actually started booking hosting gigs. And so I would come back and forth in between these hosting gigs to improv. And every time I would walk in the door to a class at Second City or IO or wherever I was, I would come alive. I felt at home and I felt like the barriers that I would put up around myself would come down. And so this training, I started really getting into improv, led me into my late 20s where I'm aging myself,
Don't forget who you're talking to.
Okay. But I was performing at night and then I started working at a corporate market I was in marketing, but then the more I started doing things, I was in an recruiting firm doing business development. Everything I was doing on stage in my classes started spilling over into my day-to-day. I became a better listener. I became more empathetic. I was thinking more quickly on my feet. I was literally more present with the people that I was serving in my day-to-day. And so lucky for us, at the time, I had an amazing leader who I said, I have this idea for a company or just a workshop that I'd like to pitch to one of our clients. And our client happened to be United Airlines that I wanted to pitch to. She said yes. And I piloted, Ed, pun intended, my very first workshop to United. They liked it. They gave me feedback. I came back and did it again. And then I realized that I wanted to improve it to be bigger than me. So I started hiring a team. And then we launched in 2014. Now have a team of 22 facilitators between New York, Chicago, LA, Charlotte, North Carolina, and then a lean, mean team of 5 internally.
We got to push pause for a second because Hero's the best. Like we see each other for the first time when we jump on the recording here. You're like, no, that's changed. But, I don't live in Chicago anymore. I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. And we've got folks in NYC. We got folks in LA. A lot has changed. I love it. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, so much change. some may call it change fatigue, but I'm going to keep going. No, it's been awesome, but it is not, I'll say this. In 2018, Ed, probably right around when we met, I was a part of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And that program is an amazing program. If you're a business owner, I highly recommend it. Did it in Chicago. Long story short, you walk away with a 5-year growth plan for your business. Our 5-year growth plan included expanding markets and hiring people specifically in these markets and bringing our work to these markets. All of this, Ed, was in person. Right. Then comes 2019. I had a baby. So maternity leave happened. Just a few life things.
Life is good. Yeah.
Life is good. 2020. Things hurt. The 85-page growth plan was ripped to shreds. And now we're on this virtual path and I've moved. You're right. We were able to move because now most of what we're doing right now is virtual. And it's just been a really crazy journey and not one that I thought we would be on, but it's the path that I think that is leading me to impact more people and help more people globally. Like we said earlier, I mean, it's crazy. We're globally now.
So cool.
We're working globally.
Now, first of all, do you still have the cool space in Chicago that you had?
You're so nice. Well, so you came to us at Catalyst Ranch.
Yes.
So we are still friends with them. Okay. We still utilize. So that space was actually our meeting space where we would do public events. Our office was in a co-working space in River North.
That's right.
We had the best ankle view of Chicago. It was in the lower level, not to be confused with the basement. Yeah. And we were scrappy in our office space because what we did was mostly in offices at client events or businesses, corporations. And so Catalyst Ranch was a beautiful partner for us, still is, but they're coming back too. They're starting to see more meetings come back.
So will you do in person eventually? And you mentioned you're still mostly virtual, but will you do stuff in New York City? Will you do stuff in LA? Will you do stuff in Charleston, South Carolina?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want an event on the beach is what I want.
Yes. Well, we were just in Arkansas 2 weeks ago. We've got some stuff coming up in Florida. We've got some stuff in California. I mean, before the pandemic, we were traveling too. But what has been really cool is using platforms like this, like Zoom, to host workshops. We're working with people all over the world. I mean, we've got people in India. We've got people in Singapore. We've got people in the UK. I mean, it has been really wonderful to see the reach that we've been able to find during this crazy time that I never, ever would have expected. And I'll tell you this, Ed, if you would have asked me in the beginning of 2020, hey, can you put what your offerings are, which, are in-person, highly interactive, engaging offerings online, I would have said no. That is not an improviser mindset. And I will literally say it's not going to work when you're forced to do it. And when the world is also looking to a virtual space to professionally develop their teams and themselves, you figure it out.
Well, it's interesting because the whole improv is yes and, right?
That's
and
it.
If that question was posed to you. But I got to give a shout out to your LinkedIn profile because and we're going to talk about some stuff you put in here, but business improv, edutainer, fail fluencer, and professional Zumbi. I love it. Yes. Talk about making a positive out of a negative.
Thank you. Hashtag fail fluencer.
So let's talk about the people you serve. Because I went to an event, and what was the event title that I went to? A little workshop. It was
a quarterly workshop. So I can't remember the exact one you saw, but we have 10 different power skill training workshops. So it was a public one, which we always do every quarter. And you rocked it, Ed. You nailed it.
No, you're just saying that because you don't want me to feel too bad about my performance with the chicken.
No, you nailed it. I have pictures. I have to find them. I got to get some.
I actually saw one today. I actually saw
on my website.
Not the chicken hat. I just saw one. My better angle is my backside when we were all holding hands and bowing.
Oh, it was on the site. Yeah.
But it's just an incredible work that you do and the folks that you do it with. And we're going to circle back. So I want to talk about the Goldman Sachs 85-page business plan. We'll get back to that. But can you tell our audience who you work with, what it is you do with the improv, and what power skills that it helped? And I love power skills, and explain power skills. I don't want to steal your thunder on that.
Oh, well, you can steal. Take it away. Give the lightning with the thunder.
Perfect.
No, so it is, Improve It is a company. It is the company I founded that uses improvisational training to train on power skills. Okay. And power skills are the word choice that we use instead of soft skills. When you say soft, right, Ed, it just feels like you're a softball. Like it is nothing that is important. It shouldn't stick. Whereas soft skills land people jobs. They help them grow their careers. They help them grow their professional and personal lives. Right. And they're the skills that we need to do the work that we do. So they should be the skills that define us, right? So we don't want to give power skills are the name of our game here. So we have been in business now for about 7 years. And we're a B2B company with anywhere from Fortune 500, Fortune 100 to small mom and pop shops. And what we do is we help them engage their people through laughter, learning, and play. It is experience. So awesome. We take the tools of the improv stage and put them into a workshop format. So we're training on a specific power skill. We train on 10 skills right now, anything from team building, effective communication, leadership, presentation skills, networking, thinking quickly on your feet, taking initiative, creative risks, career 101, sales 101. What am I missing? Vision setting, missing one. I don't know what it is, but I will come back to it.
Did you only get 9? I thought you hit 10.
Did I hit 10? I might have hit 10.
We're gonna say you hit 10, but that's pretty impressive, 10. By the way. Okay.
Thank you. But I will say, like, as an actual human being, improv really did help me in all of these areas. And it helped me to really understand that in order to connect with people, which is what we are wired to do, we are wired to connect as human beings. We have to fine tune the way that we communicate, the way that we listen, specifically the way that we react in the moment. So being completely present. And if we can really ground ourselves in these fundamentals, then we can change the course of the way we lead our teams. We can change the course of the way we lead our organization. So it's a transformational experience, and I'm glad you've done it. Well,
barely, not even scratching the surface. And there's so much to do. But I love how you talk about connecting, right? And here's the thing. And I remember stepping in there and looking at all these people and looking at you, and you don't ask the folks to do anything that you're not willing to do.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I remember everyone there seemed to have an epiphany about something, and the walls came down, right? But I'm curious, when you first started doing improv, and then you were pursuing a hosting career, pursuing all these other things. But were you aware of the significance it would play in your ability to connect with people and build the relationships you did and to lead people and the impact it could have in the business world? Like going into it, did you have kind of an idea, or were you pretty clear on what it could do?
I didn't have an idea. This is funny. I was with my high school girlfriends a couple weekends ago. I was voted class clown in our high school, year.
No way.
Okay?
I don't see that at all. No.
Yeah. Okay. No. Always been an entertainer.
Must have had a boring school.
Yeah. And just, always trying to make people laugh. I always joked too. I knew my life's calling was to make people's day better or to bring laughter, levity, and positivity to their life. So I was like, who does that? Oh, a florist. I should maybe become a florist because they always brighten somebody's day when they give them flowers, right? And then I realized I sucked at plants. I had an orchid named Zoe de Plantel, and I was like, this isn't working out for anybody. She died. So anywho.
Wait, say that name again. How?
Zoe de Plantel.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That was before we got a dog. My husband and I decided we should get a plant. And so anyway.
Dare I ask what the dog's name is?
Well, my last name is Deal. His first name is Big.
Big. Okay. I was going to go with Real, but Big. Okay.
Big. Yeah. Real's good too. Maybe that's, maybe that's
get a second dog.
Yeah. It's all, punny. But my whole point in all of this is I didn't know. I did not know. And so I just wanted to actually try improv because everything I'd done up to that point, I went to Clemson. I danced my entire life. I danced at Clemson for the Rally Cats. Go Tigers. I was constantly performing. All of it had a script. And improv scared me, to be honest. It actually gave me that icky armpit sweat that we talk about in our workshops. I would walk into a class, an improv class, and I'll be like, oh my God, I'm so nervous right now. I feel so disgusting in my skin. I hate it.
So did you go sleeveless or did you go black shirt?
I would go sleeveless. I would go sleeveless. I would air them out, as I'm chicken dancing. No, we didn't chicken dance. That's our thing. That's our thing, which we could talk about.
Yes.
But yeah, it truly then a light bulb went off the more that I started exposing myself to improv, and it became almost like a drug, like the euphoric high you feel when you're so present in the moment and you're creating something with other human beings that you can never recreate. It's so rewarding, and you feel almost like it's therapy at the same time because you're transforming out of your own body.
Right.
And it became this drug for me that I kept coming back to. And of course, when you get laughs, you're like, yes. And when you have really bad nights, you're like, that sucked. What could I do better? So I just started to really see the beauty of it. And I didn't know it would be my life's calling. I really did not know. I always wanted to be Oprah. I did not know what I wanted to talk about, but it is my favorite. I love improv and I love comedy and I love the people who do it. It's like they breed a very special kind of human being because you got to have trust and support, all of those things. So that's my long-winded answer to your question.
Which is a perfect answer, by the way. And now I don't want to move away from the joy of it, right? And the laughter, because there's so much of that. But all of a sudden, here's this thing that they call COVID, right? Here's this BS pandemic, not BS, but you know what I'm saying? Like the stuff we had to grow through. I mean, these challenges, but yet there's a way improv can be very real and very serious in terms of helping you grow through adversity, helping your decision-making, helping the conversations during tough times, you know, because I've got to imagine if you're doing a workshop for someone who's just been drilled organizationally by COVID, getting them to laugh is not your intention, right?
Totally.
Okay. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I just think it's really apropos for what we're still living right now.
Yes. Okay. So this is a really great question because I think a lot of people think we're going to come in, teach you to bark like a dog, get you to stand up and embarrass yourself. It's absolutely the opposite. Improv, that's stand-up. Stand-up comedy is a one-person show. You're going for the cheap laughs. Improv is truth. It's reacting in the moment to the response of somebody else. It's listening and postponing judgment. It's making your scene partner look better, which is ultimately making your teammate look better. It is what you, as we know, yes and is a huge rule. And it's all about listening, postponing judgment, adding to the idea and creating something together. So the beginning of a workshop, even the one you went to, Ed, where you walked in the room, you were one individual. I want to ask you this. When you walked out and you didn't know anybody, right? You didn't come with a friend, right?
I didn't know anybody at all.
Yeah. Did you feel more connected after those 2 hours?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And here's the best part. There was one thing you asked the student. It's been a minute. So like we have said, I can't remember what it was, but I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this. Like I thought I was a funny person. I'm not a very funny person. There's no way I'm doing this. And a lady next to me who I didn't know from Adam or Eve goes, you got this. It's okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You don't know me. But she actually talked me through the whole thing. And it's like, even though I didn't know her, I left like thankful for her and a little bit more trust for the whole process.
Totally. Because that's what it is. You can't stand on stage with 7 people and make something up for 30 minutes without having complete support. We always say we got your back. So you can't stand up there and not have each other's back because you're not going to have a scene if you don't support each other. That is why it's such a beautiful teaching tool, especially in business. It teaches teams to support each other, number one, to have each other's back, and to really facilitate conversation in a way that allows everyone to feel heard, seen, and like they belong, which is what everyone is chasing in COVID. So to get back to your question, truly the underlying fundamental of everything we teach, it is teamwork, it is support. And then we're going to train you using that framework on a specific power scale. So you're going to feel that connection no matter what we're teaching you on, because we're going to get you to that safe space first and foremost. And we always do everything intentionally with a low risk activity to a higher risk activity to the highest risk activity at the end. And by the end of a session, you walk out, you're like, wow, I just did that. And you did it with a smile on your face.
Right.
And it's like we almost trick you, because I will say this, the smiles lead to the vulnerable conversations. We do the games that make you laugh, then we talk about it. And that's where the aha moment occurs.
Let's talk about vulnerability. I mean, it's huge. It's so big. And the tool that improv is to get people to be more vulnerable. And you said improv is truth, and that just keeps ringing in my head, and it's listening and postponing judgment. That's something that our society could use right now, but we won't go there right now. We're going to talk about vulnerability. Tell me about that and how significant of a role your improv low risk to high risk exercises has played in helping people in that process.
Ed, I love this question. And I'm going to say this. People wore masks to work before 2020. And it's a hypothetical mask.
I get it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think if there is a silver lining in all of this, those masks have started to come off, especially being virtual. We see into people's homes. We see they have dogs, they have kids, they have plants that they care about. And vulnerability was this scary word in corporate America for a really long time. To be a big leader, a CEO, whoever, and to be vulnerable, those two things didn't go hand in hand. Where obviously we're seeing it with the Great Resignation. People want to feel, they want to know their leaders. And I always say this if I'm facilitating a workshop, think about a leader, a coach, a mentor, whoever in your life right now who impacted your life.
Right.
If you got that person in your head, think about them and then ask yourself, were they vulnerable? And did they care about me as a human being? And I've never heard a person say that those two things didn't go hand in hand. Those leaders were not transactional. They were supportive. They cared about you. My old boss at my recruiting firm is the reason that Improve It exists, because I didn't love that job. People say you don't leave jobs, you leave leaders. I did not leave my leader. I left that job. The opposite was true for me. I loved my leader so much.
And you more pursued a dream and you pursued a passion. So it wasn't really like you were leaving. It was like you used that as a springboard, and she was put in that world right there to influence you to go do what it is you wanted to do.
Oh my God. She's still my biggest cheerleader today. And, I always told her when I left, she asked me to stay 2 months and I said, okay, but I truly would have done anything for her because she was vulnerable. She was such an amazing and powerful leader who inspired and wanted the best. She put our needs ahead of hers. And she also was real and honest about the things that she needed from us as employees, but also as people. So vulnerability as a leader in 2021, 2022, oh my God, if you are still leading with a transaction, I want you to think about the way that you're showing up, because it is really an employee's market right now. And people are finding where they feel like they belong and also where they feel like they can impact the world. That is people really reevaluated in 2020 and 2021.
It's funny you say that. So I just spoke out in California a couple of weeks ago to a global company, Europe, North America. And the European mindset, it is transactional, right? It's about dollars, and they're not giving the dollars away. Well, they're bleeding people in the industry, not bleeding people, but there are people who are incredible performers, producers are being poached, right? They're coming like they're the best of the best. We're going to offer you more money.
Yes.
And so it was an absolute blast seeing a light bulb go on in their head when I posed the question to them, what is it that you can do for them that is way more valuable than dollars and cents? And, we know that people want to know that the work they do is important, that they're valued as people, and they want to be coached, right? Yep. So you start talking in terms of transformational. I think it would solve a lot of challenges right now, a lot of issues.
Yeah, I do too. And I feel like people are figuring out how to lead in this hybrid workforce. What I really saw out of a lot of leaders that we work with at Improve It last year was just beautiful moments of hopping on a Zoom call and just saying, how are you?
Yeah.
And asking truly, deeply caring, because there were so many things that went down over the course of that year as a nation, as a world. And I felt like people really started to see beyond the conference rooms, beyond the things that we show up at work and we're so used to going and doing, and kind of seeing a person through that lens. People really saw each other as human beings who have cares and wants and wishes and desires. And it's been really interesting. I've even myself as a leader leading my team, I've really started to care about what does that team member want long-term out of life?
Right.
And how can I put that into play for them here so they want to stay here long-term?
And how can I help you outside the proverbial walls of this office, right?
Yes.
Now, so how did you, during the pandemic, with being virtual, still find a way to get to that vulnerability piece where people, obviously it was assisted by having to see people on Zoom and stuff like that. But in order to persist, right? And then we always talk about sacrifice business. What are you willing to give up to be successful? A lot of it has to do with what we're willing to endure, not so much sacrifice, right? So how did you help that with improv, and how did you do it virtually?
Oh my God. So it was, and oh man.
And it's okay to say, I don't know. I'm not real sure. We did it. Yeah.
We did it. We got there, trial and error. But I'll tell you what, we use Zoom. And so WebEx, I think, made a lot of updates to its platform last year, but we started with Zoom. We live on Zoom. And we use the breakout room. So a lot of what we do in person is activities, right? So we're doing games and activities in small groups, partners. So with breakout rooms on Zoom, we're able to still do those activities, put people in a breakout room, have them engage, have them with a partner, with a small group. We'll use the main room if we only have up to 50 people in our virtual sessions now. But really what it does is it still creates that conversation. And I've had clients, long-term clients who have been in person with us for a long term, and they were like, I did not think this was going to work. And it does. And it really translates because it's that connection piece. Once you get people in that first activity, moving and grooving, I mean, their light bulb starts to go off. Their movement is a big part of it. Having them actually move, physical movement on Zoom is huge. I mean, we're in and out of breakout rooms. We do an 1.5-hour session on Zoom 9 times. And then we're using the chat box. Like everything we do is I'm asking a question, you're responding. If we've got like 20 people or less, we'll have them come off mute. And it has proven to really work. And it's because I think people are craving connection. People are wanting to see their coworkers in a different way virtually. This is a different way. It's super outside of the box. And thankfully, it works.
That is so cool. Had you done any virtual before? Nothing. So this was all like, you're talking like a true Zombie, right? Like you've got the breakout rooms, you got the chat, you got this. I mean, you're speaking the language.
Oh, I
mean, that's big time.
I had a client hire me last year. I called it Zombie Productions just to facilitate their holiday party because I'm that good on Zoom. I mean, honestly, no, it is truly, I talk about a crash course in technology. I mean, I used to have our director of operations like fix the printer in our office. I didn't even know how to change the toner. And now we had to figure out so much so quickly. It was nuts, Ed, but it did work, thankfully. And we're here.
What happens, and there's a little if to it still, but when everyone comes back together, right? And you're going back to in person, which you've done, but you're going back to this in person, were the walls harder to come down face to face, or are they harder to come down virtually?
It's a great question.
And do the walls go back up when you're in person? That's
right.
The next question.
I have
it's all psychological.
Right. The ones that we've done recently, people are so happy to be in the same room together. Yeah. I mean, it's like a high school reunion, but it's like the people you really want to see. You know what I mean? Not the people you don't want to see. It is so much easier from what I have seen to get people to connect in the same room together right now because they are craving it. Virtually, what virtual does is it allows the people who in person who have social anxiety or who aren't as extroverted or don't speak up as much in meetings, that chat function right there is a godsend. They love it. They show up. They are so in it because it's typing, right? You don't have to say anything. And then I have a younger brother. He's actually staying with us this week. We were talking about this last night. He is an introvert. He loves being virtual and he loves the way that he can show up and type in meetings. And for us too, having people in breakout rooms, it's less anxiety than standing in front of people. So it works for everyone. And for me, I mean, in person is just like something, even on virtual too, I just feel this like, I can't even describe it. It's like something takes over my body and it's like, it's not me talking, it's somebody else. And I just go. And it is just, I'm in this wonderful world of people who want to make themselves better. And there's so much positive energy. Yeah. And when we create that on Zoom too, I feel it, but there's nothing like that in-person connection. There's nothing like it.
When we wrap things up here, we still have some time, thank goodness. We'll talk about where folks can find all the information out. Okay. But I have to ask you, out of the power skills, did different ones show up on virtual than showed up in person? Was a focus more?
And skills? For sure for us, effective communication was always big, but in virtual, oh my gosh, it has been connecting, communicating, and working virtually is all about communication. And if you don't have effective communication, what do you have? That has been the biggest power skill that we have seen. But then we've had, it's always about the challenge of the specific team. So what is their challenge? What objectives are they hoping to achieve? And then our power skills usually have an offering that we can match to that. And if not, we're really honest. We'll give them somebody from our toolkit of that we know, a resource we know that can help. But out of the 10, effective communication is huge. And we're starting to see a lot more people want to do vision setting towards the end of the year. And that's been really fun to watch and to witness too. It's really interesting because you got teams with people all over the world right now, and it's going to continue to be that way.
So what do you consider, because your definition might be different than my definition, or it might be exactly the same, which I'm betting is closer to the second, but what is your definition of effective communication? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, it is listening. Here's where I stand with it. And this is the thesis statement we use in the workshop.
Yes.
What you say and what you don't say, it affects how others listen and respond. So the way that you show up with your tone, both verbally and non-verbally, your non-verbal body movements. So what you don't say, the way, you show up on a Zoom with your arms crossed, your head down, or you're drooling on your keyboard, that sets a tone, right? And then you've got listening, which is all about, in my opinion, is the most important power skill. Listening is crucial, especially as a leader, or especially as a person who is engaging with people and clients. I mean, if you're not listening, you can't accomplish anything. And you're also not building a trusting relationship. And then just responding in a way that is meaningful and also does not negate the person who gave information before you is literally the key to great leadership, in my opinion.
Right.
Is postponing judgment and encouraging new ideas. And that's yes and.
That is awesome right there. I mean, it's a complete home run, but give us, and that's no pun on the athletics of business.
I was just
but I am talking to you. Yes, but I am talking to you. Give us an exercise that you would do for great listening skills, like listening with postponing judgment. Give us an example.
You want to go with me, Ed? You want to do a little activity?
This is totally, I will. This is totally unscripted. All right. I've been doing this for with you. Let's go.
You can do this. You can do this. Okay. So this is called last word response.
Don't forget, I have an editor for the podcast too.
Okay. But listen, you don't need it. You don't need it.
I know. We're good. Let's go.
All right. So we're going to talk about, today's Thursday, we're going to talk about our upcoming weekend plans.
Okay.
And I'll go first. All right. Okay. And so whatever the last word of actually, let's have you go first because I can show you how it's done. The last word of your sentence is going to be the first word of my sentence. Okay. So what are you doing this weekend, Ed?
A lot of basketball.
Basketball is not my sport. I actually played it in middle school and I went to the wrong hoop on the basketball court.
Speaking of court, it's funny, driving home from Omaha yesterday, really comfortable in my new truck. And all of a sudden, next thing I know, I had dancing lights behind me.
Me too. That happened to me a few weeks ago and I was not happy and I got a ticket.
Ticket? Who gets a ticket? I got a warning.
Warning would have been great. There you go. You did it. So that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah. And then you pause. You pause because you try to process it.
Yes. And then what that activity does is it allows you to, number one, you can't think ahead. So you have to be present. No. You have to listen to every word, which I always ask this question too. If my arm is a sentence, and the listeners at home cannot see this, but if the tip of my finger is the beginning of a sentence and my elbow is the end of a sentence, at what point in a typical sentence do most people stop listening?
Right.
What would you say?
Halfway between.
Halfway between. Yeah, that's good. I've heard cuticle. So this feels right. Right. So this.
Thanks for being specific. Good. Are they manicured cuticles or
very manicured? Yes. I mean, this is
like the color. I do.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes. But this is literally, if the middle of the sentence is where we stop listening, we miss the end. And we miss so much information.
It's so funny you say that because I was just going to say to you, what this exercise taught me was I am still bad, sometimes poor at listening to, instead of listening to understand, listening to waiting for my turn to talk. Right.
Yeah.
So I was trying to anticipate the way you were going to end the sentence instead of just waiting for the last word to then figure out what I was going to say. And I probably shut it down little did I know halfway through your sentence.
No, you nailed it. You did it. Well, if you're thinking those things, you actually used my last word every time to start your sentence. That is the key to great listening, is listening to understand, not to respond. And
which sometimes that would be good.
Yes, exactly. But then it's really just this idea of making sure when we are in that moment, when we are present, that's when the magic happens, is when we're listening and when we're responding in a way that is non-judgmental and also allows other people to feel heard.
I love that. When we are present, that's when the magic happens. That's It sounds so simple. It's not that easy.
Yeah.
And I've got to ask you a question because, before we jumped on, couple of days ago, I was reading some stuff on you, and you said something that I find so important in my world. And this podcast has given me the opportunity to do that. And I consider you one of these people, like who you surround yourself with, like who you invite into your orbit or who you're fortunate. Who are some of the people in your circle who you've surrounded yourself? Like, what are their characteristics? What are their traits? What have they given to you? How does that show up? Because you are just an incredible leader, and you're such, I mean, you are, and you radiate so much positive energy, and you make me laugh every now and then.
Oh my God, Ed, stop, keep going. See, I'm trying to learn.
We'll be out of time if I keep going.
I know. I received this. Thank you. This is my new way to receive a compliment. I received this. I love that you found that, because truly I'm such a big believer in energy, and the energy that we put out is the energy we'll receive back. And I have been very, very blessed unintentionally when I was younger. I just did a girls trip, same girls trip I was mentioning, with my high school best friends. And oh my God, I guess I had this notion when I was young, when I was 13, because they're the most supportive. They're all smart, brilliant, kind, loving people who all they want is for each one of us to succeed. And our success is the collective success. So
cool.
So cool. And I have this really, I've got like a type 5. I've got so many great friends that I feel like I get so much from, but it's like the people who I call with a problem are the people that I will support and will pull them out of a ditch, and they will come get me whenever they need. I will go help them no matter what. And I saw that last year. We talked before the show started going. My mom had a stroke, and I just never, in the midst of everything happening with our business, I felt the most support from the people that we surround ourselves with. And my husband is legit like my best friend in the whole world. He is the best. So he makes me want to be better every day. And that's the person I see the most. And he's also, he's my husband. He's also the one who sees me at my worst, but he is the one who wants to see the success of Improve It. And he helped me so much at the beginning, just get it off the ground. So I'm grateful for the people in my life. I'm very cognizant too of who we let in that circle too. And
sometimes you got to get people out.
Yeah. Sometimes they're there for a season, not a reason,
Love that. Say that again.
Sometimes they're there for a season, not a reason. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. Now, what other question would I ask you, or what other thing would I ask you about but the chicken hat?
I don't know.
In a million years. Yeah, never in a million years. I think I would celebrate my 48th birthday, because that's when I was with you. Would I celebrate my 48th birthday with strangers, right? With the chicken in my head.
That's the coolest story. I remember you telling me it was your birthday. So the chicken is our Improve It mascot. And literally it started when I was building the very first workshop. I was like, how do I get people engaged? So I had this random chicken hat I bought at some little boutique. And I said, we're going to use this chicken. And every time you hear the word improv, we're going to pass the chicken to the right. And whoever ends up with it at the end is the improv chicken champion. Well, one of my improvisers, Andrew, he's still mad at himself to this day, said, let's heighten that. Let's add the chicken dance to it. So literally, we have been doing this for 7 years. And Andrew is still one of my lead facilitators. He's like, I hate every time I hear the word improv, I chicken dance. So, and now on Zoom, we've actually just started making it like your own like happy dance. It's like you do a chicken, but we don't do the full wedding chicken dance. Fun fact for you.
Yes.
We have now convinced over 26,000 professionals to chicken dance.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I never chicken danced at weddings before until I went through your workshop. Now I love chicken dancing.
You nailed it. And it was your birthday. And it sounds insane to the person listening to this. You're probably like, this sounds insane. But it's so fun. And it breaks down the barriers of just that wall that we put up every time right before we get started. We started off like that. And it by the end, whoever has the chicken hat is so happy, and they feel all the love at the end of the workshop.
Well, I read something this morning. I sent it to a bunch of friends and some clients. It's legacy is not something you leave for people. It's something you leave in people.
Oh.
And the legacy you folks are building is pretty amazing, because you do. I mean, I don't know if it's, if you're aware of how many power skills, power skills you help these people with. And I got to think that's some of the greatest joy you find. And when you have the repeat customers, you hear the stories, people reconnect with you. Tell us just about that as we wrap this up.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so cool. I could literally cry, because some of the stories we've heard recently are just, people are craving this connection. And I've witnessed it. I'll just live with this. One of my girls on my team, we actually got to work with the Obama Foundation. This is not political. This is just a former president. And she ended up being able to participate in it. And through it, I saw her find her confidence. It was a training day, the first ever training day for the Obama Foundation. And I was actually a facilitator at it and did a keynote with Christy, our director of talent. We got to meet him. But little did Jenna know that she was going to get picked from this audience of 250 people to present an idea to the audience. But that audience was Barack Obama. And so I got to watch this introverted, she was fresh out of college. She's now our director of client service, present to a former president with power, with confidence, with just the most amazing delivery I've ever seen her deliver. So cool. Yeah. And I was like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls with my camera, like filming the whole thing. Like, I'm a cool mom. Right. But I was literally just in tears watching her transform. And that was 5 years ago. And Jenna is the most just amazing professional woman I have had the pleasure of watching her grow in her career. And hopefully she'll be with me forever. So cool. Don't know what I would do without her, but she is Improve It. And the people we've been able to transform using the way that we train people is it's a blessing to be able to witness and to facilitate it. So I'm grateful.
Transformational. That's for sure.
That's it.
It's awesome.
That's it.
Hey, we've got to have you back soon because we're on it. You got to scoot. And I absolutely love everything you do. This has been a blast and we will connect soon. But thank you so much, Erin.
Thank you, Ed, for having me. You're the best.
And I was going to get a chicken hat and have it on. I should have put the turkey hat on my head. I should have, but I didn't.
Hold on.
Here she goes.
Hold on.
There it is. This has got to be on LinkedIn right here.
Don't worry. I got a chicken hat bin in here, Ed. Okay. So there's a bin of chicken hat.
This is going on LinkedIn right here. This is perfect. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much, Erin. You are the best. Appreciate it.
You're the best. Bye, Ed. Oh, Improve It family. Okay, so that very end there is actually me sitting in my podcast closet. Truth, I have a bin filled with chicken hats that I'm looking at right now, coming at you live from the podcast closet. And that was me putting on one of said chicken hats for Ed at the end of the show. So just know, whenever I'm talking to you, I'm also looking directly into a bin of chicken hats, giving you leadership facts. That is a fact, my friends. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. I hope you got wisdom and some tips, some actual tangible tips that you can take back to lead your team. Now, in order to do that, I like to give you a tangible takeaway. So what I want you to think about from today's show is, what power skill do you want to work on in 2022? What power skill is going to help you become a more vulnerable leader, a leader who leads with empathy, a leader who sees their people as human beings and really wants to support them not only in their career trajectory at your current organization, but help mentor and coach them for years and years to come? So right now, I want you to take a moment and think about what power skill it is you want to work on this year. It could be effective communication, listening. It could be taking creative risks. It could be straight up leadership. It could be your presentation skills, networking. It could be learning how to do sales in a less transactional way. But I want you to think about the power skill that you want to work on. I want you to write it down, and I want you to keep it close to your desk. And I want you to focus on that skill every single day. Keep coming back here to the Improve It podcast. We're going to give you so many tangible tips and tricks on how to hone in on that power skill. And here's what I want you to do. If you are really feeling this power skill lean in 2022, send us a note on SpeakPipe. Like I've told you before, it's this little button that you press on our website. We'll have it in the show notes. It allows you to leave a voice recording. It comes straight to me. Ask a question. Tell me what you want us to talk about on the show. And I promise you, I will dedicate an entire show to answering your question, because that's what we are here for. We are here to help you with your power skills. So, my Improve It family, you know the drill. I want you to keep failing, keep improving, because the world needs that special it that only you can bring. You got this. I'll see you here next week. Hey friends, thanks for tuning in to Improve It. I am so happy you were along for the ride. If you enjoyed this show, head on over to iTunes to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Now, if you're really feeling today's show and you've improved it even just a little bit, please take a screenshot and tag me at Keeping It Real Deal on Instagram and share it in your stories. I'll see you next week, but I want to leave you with this thought. What did you improve today, and how will that help your future successful self? Think about it. I am rooting for you, and the world needs that special it that only you can bring. See you next time.